This show is powered by BL3P, the Lightning-enabled European Bitcoin exchange.
Connect the world.
Pavlenex, BTCpay server, Spiral grantee, and Stratum V2.
The Serbian word for Belgrade means white city. Did you know that the city is named after the white stones used to build the fortress on the hill overlooking the rivers?
Yes.
Is it true that you have a hidden musical talent of playing accordion?
No.
Have you ever been so caught up in developing on Bitcoin that you forgot to eat or sleep for days on end?
Yes.
Serbia is known for its unique and delicious cuisine, including dishes such as sivapsi, kajmak, and ajvar. But did you know that Serbian chefs also created the first food printer that used eatable ink to print out custom designs on pancakes?
No.
Do you enjoy starting your day with cleaning bots across multiple organizations and repos? You've a member of Twitter, GitHub, sorry.
No.
Is it true that the Red Star Belgrade has won the Serbian Super League, the top tier of the Serbian football, more times than any other club?
Yes.
Will Tesla resume accepting Bitcoin payments by 2024 using the BTCpay server?
Yes.
If you were stranded on a deserted island and could only bring one item related to the Lightning Network, would you choose your BTCpay server hoodie?
Yes.
Do you find it difficult to resist the urge to evangelize the Lightning Network at social events or family gatherings?
Yes.
Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?
No.
Welcome to the Connect the World weekly podcast. I'm Edward.
And I'm Steph. We are ready to take you with us into the beautiful world of the Lightning Network.
Enjoy the ride. This is episode 72 of Connect the World. Pav, Steph, good to have you.
Good to have you.
This show is made possible by BL3P, the European Bitcoin exchange, and Bitonic, which is the company behind BL3P, is 11 years old today, Steph.
Wow.
Do you know that?
Can we cheer or do you have to cheer?
Yeah, of course. I have a cheer here. All right. Let's do it.
Congratulations, guys.
It is today, so yeah, well, it's great. And thank you, the guys at BL3P, for helping us with our mission. And if you also want to help out, then follow us on Twitter, subscribe at our YouTube channel, or if you have some questions for us, then go to our Telegram group. And you can always ask everything. So that's great. And of course, you can also donate. Try the donation bot within the Telegram group,
which is powered by BTCpay server, by the way.
That's right. That. Yeah,
but we can talk later on about it.
Okay, let's go to the highlights first.
Connect the world.
This time it's a highlight from our own because, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Daily Moon. If everyone, of course, knows the Daily Moon, but for those people who don't know it, the Daily Moon has the ambition to, being the ultimate source for everything related to Lightning and the Lightning Network, and so dedicated to making sense of it. And it's not only for seasoned experts, but also for beginners. And it brings you the latest news within the scene and the Lightning space, insights, updates, analysis on adoption and achievements, and of course also very technical stuff. So for everyone, there is something to stay informed, and we got you covered. And the Daily Moon has, of course, a website with articles, tdm.news. There you can find it. And they're also active on Telegram, and they have a Twitter channel. So you can check the high quality content there. It's interesting. Just subscribe and you'll stay up to date. So
I'm curious, Pav, what source do you use to have all the latest news related to Lightning? Do you have a source or?
Oh, since recently I do follow Telegram bots.
Awesome.
I'm not sure. And no Bullshit Bitcoin, I think it's the name. And then Stacker News as well. So that's the two news sources that I use.
And after tonight, you're subscribing to the Daily Moon, of course.
Absolutely, of course.
But the interesting thing, no bullshit Bitcoin, I use it all also, but it's the Daily Moon is only Lightning, so that's for me. It's easy to focus then on just one subject. So if someone is interested in doing that, then you can go to the Telegram group, for example, t.me/the Daily Moon. The Telegram channel, I must say.
No bullshit
and if you
lightning.
Subscribe, no bullshit lightning. Yeah, it would be a great name. At Daily Moon, because lightning is going to the moon, right?
Sure.
All right, let's continue, guys.
Verbinden die Welt.
Let's give our guest a proper welcome.
Proper welcome. Yeah, with Pavlenex. Pav,
Good to
great
have you on the show, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's awesome being here finally.
Sure.
Awesome.
Hey, I already mentioned that we use a Telegram bot for our donations. And this Telegram bot is custom built by one of our community members. But it uses BTCpay server running on a node that the founder of Satoshi Radio runs. And he uses it at their website. So BTCpay is generating the invoice. And when the invoice is paid, people can put a small text or whatever they want in a field, and then it automatically displays that information also in the Telegram groups we connected to that bot, to that server.
It's like giving a boost with a message. It's but using BTCpay and the website, I think that's still interesting. It's that you can do it from the website itself.
Yeah. And that you can build and let's start the show then with a compliment, because I know the famous words of Bart. He says, "I'm using BTCpay and it just always works. It never crashes. It's always up. So I don't have any regrets starting because it can be a hassle, right? Starting up like a service, choosing a service you like." And he started with BTCpay. I don't know why he started, because it was quite a while ago, so maybe it was even one of the few services that could build that you could build up onto. And then it never failed. So you did a good job, Pav.
I love hearing that. Thank you.
It's interesting. You don't need to be a merchant or something to run the BTCpay Lightning node.
No.
So that's really great. Hey, and Pav, I've looked at your resume, your website. You're active on so many different spaces. It's just crazy. I see, for example, your Spiral grantee, and you make there a funny notion about being that you bribe them with awkward Serbian music. I was instantly triggered by that, but of course you did something other things great, because a Spiral grantee. Can you explain what it means and what you do?
Yes, Spiral is an independent entity within a block company funded by Jack Dorsey, formerly Square, and their sole mission is to fund Bitcoin development and Bitcoin developers and contributors in Bitcoin. No strings attached. They provide grants to what I like to say talented people in the space to work on what they love and support them along the way. So I'm very grateful that Spiral has been supporting me alongside, I think, over 50, 60, or even 70 people. I'm not sure an exact number, but they recently tweeted out that they gave away $7 million to, I think, 70 and more grantees in total in projects and everything. So that's impressive numbers.
That's really impressive.
Yeah. And there are no conditions to that grant. So, I mean, you can just do whatever you want, right?
Yes. As I said, I just ship them awkward music and then they extend my grant. But in reality, there are proposals and there are deliverables that we sometimes set as a goals to ourselves. But in reality, you're your own boss in this situation. So you need to be very self-motivated in order to work in this structure. And it's not for everybody, but it for me, I love it.
So
Yeah.
you have a strong motivation. What really motivates you to being active in the Lightning and Bitcoin space?
I mean, I just love Bitcoin, its ethos, what it stands for, and I love Bitcoiners. I love interacting with people and learning from them, and just being the dumbest person in the room constantly. May sound harsh, but it's also amazing.
It sounds familiar.
Yes, it's also amazing because you get to learn every single day and improve and work on yourself. So that's really what drives me forward, I think.
And does the team at Spiral, for instance, keep an eye on your GitHub repositories that they somehow keep track of what you are doing? Because I can imagine that they prefer that you to work on only open source projects because, well, yeah, I mean, otherwise they maybe are funding a company that, well, you never know, of course. Do you think they keep an eye on your repository there?
Maybe they have some cats and spies that are spying on us, but from what I'm aware, no. They sometimes just say hi and check on us. It's mostly Steve, Connor, Haley, and the team around it, but they're really supporting us along the way. Want to ensure that we are happy with what we are doing, and then they're also learning from the work we are doing. So I guess that's also beneficial for them as well.
Perfect.
Hey, Pav, I also read that you've been active for Bitcoin Smiles, and that sounds familiar, Steph, right? In El Salvador. What did you do there? Because I know they had a BTCpay server there running.
Yes, I funded Bitcoin Smiles, funded it with Enrique. It's the two of us that communicated and invented the idea in a way. We wanted to have a way to fundraise and gather money for all these people who are underpowered in El Salvador, and that's how the initiative was born. But it's now being led by the community of really awesome people, and it's going forward. And I'm so happy to see it going forward.
Cool, because Enrique is the dentist, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So, and he helps people who don't have any money or resources to keep their smile.
He provides dental care to the people who do not have. Who never had access to medical health, basically, in system. So he is single-handedly helping all of these people.
Amazing
and he brought smiles to over 50 people and maybe even that many kids as well.
Yeah, we had a funding in our community. But how many sets?
It was really
was it half a Bitcoin or something? It was pretty epic. I think it was half a Bitcoin.
And it was interesting because then Bart needed to send it through Lightning.
Oh yeah, it was half a Bitcoin.
He did it partially, right?
Yeah,
or in two instances or something.
Something like that, yeah. So,
because of course you need.
And you also spoke to him because he was in El Salvador when the bill for the new. What was it? It was Bitcoin Day, right? When he arrived
it was Bitcoin Day.
Yeah, and then he spoke to Enrique also, so that was funny.
Yeah, that was really great to have the community help out in such a massive way. It's really great to see that you've also been a big part of that. So it's really great.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we have all kinds of questions here about BTCpay server and also Stratum, or is it Stratum? Stratum? We say Stratum, right? In Holland.
Yeah, but that's Dutch. I don't know.
I would call it Stratum as well. In
Stratum,
yes,
Stratum.
Even harder. So, but
Stratum.
I think it could be Stratum. Maybe that's how people call it. SV2 is also
SV2. Yeah, that's easier.
Yeah,
we want to talk about that project too, but it has to be in the 21 minutes. So if you're ready, Pav and Edward, we would like to enter that part.
Yes, let's go.
Let's do it.
世界をつなぐ
Okay, let's first start simple with BTCpay server. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role in the development of BTCpay server?
Yes, there are no formal roles in open source, so my role is actually janitor. I'm just helping people who are actually developers develop software and supporting them along the way, making sure that they are focused on developing BTCpay server and cleaning stuff that nobody wants to do or clean. it's the role in a fiat world would be project or product manager or however you want to call it, but it's janitor officially.
Cool. And what's your background then? Did you already had a job in a previous company or something?
I was in e-commerce before that, had several e-commerce businesses, and then discovered BTCpay server through that, and decided that e-commerce is not for me and that I just love open source and Bitcoin, and went full time from there.
And when was
it's a great combination? Yeah. When was that?
That was somewhere around 2017, I believe. Is when I decided to go all in BTCpay.
Long time ago.
Yes, exactly.
Irresponsibly long.
Yes.
During a bull run, right? So 2017.
Yes.
Hey, can you explain to our listeners who don't know what BTCpay server is and how it exactly works?
Sure. So very briefly, BTCpay server is a piece of software which allows you to accept Bitcoin payments. So it is completely free to use because like Bitcoin, it is also open source software. And there are no fees when you use it because you are your own payment processor. It is a self-hosted software. So you as a user would run it on your own infrastructure, computer, virtual private server, or a node. I don't want to advertise any nodes or services right now, but there are plenty of them which integrate BTCpay server. But
that's right. For example, Voltage also has the possibility to add a BTCpay server to your dashboard. Yeah, that's great. And what unique features or capabilities sets BTCpay server apart from other Lightning payment processors?
Yes, unlike traditional companies who host software for you and are intermediaries between you and your customers, BTCpay server is self-hosted, so it enhances privacy between the customers and yourself because nothing is leaked to any third party, and it works in a similar way Bitcoin is supposed to work without intermediaries. And on top of that, it also comes bundled in with lots of fun features which we as a Bitcoiner love to play with. So it is a software that brings a lot of projects and lots of technologies together in a very coherent, I hope it's a coherent and easy to use interface, which we keep on improving.
And you say fun features. What's your favorite one then? Because you were smiling a bit.
I love Lightning address feature recently. I've been using that one, crowdfunding, and I also use payment requests to invoice people. Just send them a link, they click on that link, and then they can pay me in Bitcoin.
Yeah. And I saw the latest. Is this also part of the latest release? Because you introduced many new features. Is it also one of the latest release?
Actually, these are a little bit old school features that I use, but recently we shipped a lot of improvements on the user side and on the interface. And we also introduced something that allows people to sell their Bitcoin or a portion of it through an exchange. We call that a custodial exchange plugin. And it allows, for example, in this concrete release, we made integration with Kraken, so merchants can sell their Bitcoin to Kraken. As I said, a portion of it or entirely. It just depends on their needs.
And then automatically, so when you receive a payment, you can split the payment, for instance, and then get a percentage to Kraken automatically.
That part is a little bit manual because it requires keys to be online or hot wallet to split them. So it depends on the configuration that merchant has.
Sure.
Yeah. And another recent improvement is the introduction of a physical point of sale devices like smartphones and NFC functionality. How do you see these features being used by merchants, and how do they benefit for the overall adoption of the Lightning Network?
Yeah, so we have a web app currently, which people can just run on any point of sale device. We did a bunch of improvements there that completely, in a way, can abstract that you're even using Bitcoin if you don't want them to know that you're using. So it really looks like fiat world where people can use in a way, credit card like Vault card and just tap on the NFC device and payment goes through. So in a way, you can also abstract Bitcoin from all of that. But of course, a lot of Bitcoiners use it. It prints out receipts even, so people love those features. And it's like physical interaction with Bitcoin when they use that point of sale because they can feel it in their hand, they can see the receipt, and it brings a lot of joy to people.
And giving them the same experience, but then
Yes.
giving them a better feeling about it.
Or just telling them, hey, I just saved 3 or 6% by doing this. And
yeah,
it's awesome.
that's really awesome. Yeah.
There are also various plugins and integrations available for BTCpay server. Well, a lot of our listeners and viewers are node runners. Are there any particular popular or innovative integrations that you can highlight for that particular group?
Okay, so in particular for node runners, I assume something that helps them manage their channels and the interface for that can be interesting. So something like Ride the Lightning or integrations with Zeus can be interesting. But in the context of plugins, we are developing a lot of more interesting features to come, especially for Lightning users. Through plugin system, we want to enhance user experience, but also allow people to build cool stuff within BTCpay server without us having to basically be in control of those features. So users can independently develop them and then use them. So it's in a way, it's similar to what WordPress, for example, does. So
yeah.
And what's the one then that you're the most proud of, or can't you tell us now because it's still on the release list?
let's say that my favorite one is to be developed yet. But,
okay. And when will it release?
Well, this one is in a 1 year horizon, unfortunately.
Okay.
But
it must be a
it's a
pretty
lot
big
of
one.
work. Yes.
Yeah. It's a lot of work. Hey, you mentioned earlier, well, BTCpay server is self-hosted, open source and free to use. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of these characteristics and how they contribute to adoption of Lightning and Bitcoin?
Well, they remove the barriers because traditionally you as a merchant or as a user have to register on the website. That website has to follow some sort of regulations. So, for example, people in certain countries cannot even use Lightning if they're going through the route of having a custodian or having like somebody who controls their funds or provides payment service for them. So in a way, it's very important to have a software which you can run on your own without anybody having a control over basically your entire business.
And if you think about a merchant using a BTCpay server, is it also a specific advantage then, or do you have other specific advantages that brings that to the user experience?
There are a lot of user groups. So merchants is our main focus. We really are focused on merchants, but then you have, as you said, node runners, you have freelancers who use BTCpay to invoice clients. You have people who are developers who build on top of BTCpay, just like the integration that you guys mentioned earlier. So it's basically a payment technology stack, which people can use to do all sorts of things.
Yeah. And at the Bitcoin Amsterdam conference, we also talked on the workshop stage, and also Bas Peters and Wouter Semme. They talked about the potential for users to white label BTCpay server and build businesses around it. Can you provide some examples of successful use cases or companies that had leveraged BTCpay server in this way?
Yes, so it is very important to allow flexibility for people, especially when they're integrating something as important as a payment infrastructure. Especially as a free and open source software, we do want people to build on top of BTCpay server and extend the use cases and just have their creativity and not have any hands tied in any way when they develop. So people really appreciate it. They like using custom features, having their own designs for the invoices, having their own logo. And we're really pushing very hard in that direction to allow them even more customizability, but in a very easy way for merchants, but also for developers. And speaking of an example, I would say the most famous example of somebody white labeling BTCpay server is Elon Musk. Because when Tesla used to accept Bitcoin payments, they used BTCpay server, but completely white labeled the front, the invoicing part of it. So nobody knew that they were using it.
And
everybody was testing it, right? Customization.
But when did you guys find out that they used your servers?
So we figured it out by inspecting their CSS code and then seeing that there is very specific string that reminded us, oh, this is our invoice string actually. But then later on, we got the confirmation even from some of their employees that they were using. But they also reported a few bugs. Some of their engineers
I read it, right.
even helped us patch one serious one. So, I mean, if they weren't using it, why would they be so invested in figuring out how it works and even help patch the vulnerabilities?
And I can imagine, because they have a complete different workflow. Obviously, it's a big company. It's one of the biggest companies in America. Is their workflow then? Did you guys learn from them the process they were addressing the bug to you and then working together to solve it? I mean, what did you guys learn from them?
We improved our vulnerability response processes as a result, because some of their team actually helped us structure it. Because, I mean, we are an open source project. We are a very small team, and they have better understanding of all of this. So they provided us some resources that helped us improve our responses, vulnerability response processes. And yeah, it was very interesting and fun experience because you as an enterprise, for example, appreciate to have a full control over the code and be able to inspect it and not having to trust anybody and minimize the costs and then customize it to your own abilities. So in that regard, BTCpay was very interesting project for them to try and use.
Yeah. And yeah, I want to come back at the presentations you guys gave at Bitcoin Amsterdam, because I can remember at the Q&A at the end, there was someone who had a question about the possibility to implement an auction plugin for BTCpay server. Is it yet considered since the presentation to implement, or what's the status?
So we evaluate all of these requests. We try to have people to post them on our GitHub discussions and then vote from them. That's how we prioritize features. So far, at least as far as I'm aware, we didn't have much queries with regards to having auction, though I can see that being a very interesting plugin.
It will be, I think, because there are a lot of interesting projects now using auctioning. I think there is a really an interesting use case, and I really love that feature that there is BTCpay server, there are users using Lightning, and then somebody will end up with a new use case and then think, well, let's try it out, and then all the existing payment processes need to be flexible. Interesting. And how does BTCpay server, when you install it on a Lightning node, how does it handle channel management and liquidity provisioning when interacting with Lightning Network?
Yeah, that's one part that we really want to improve in the future. And actually, it's on our roadmap to integrate something that I think Synonym as a company and John Carvalho spec'd out. So they're working on something called LSP specs. So until that is ironed out, we will hold our horses in a way and then integrate LSPs within the BTCpay server. But we want to really integrate them independently so that you as a merchant can get liquidity and not have any single entity imposing anything on you. So it's a little bit tricky problem to solve, but I think once this is spec'd out, we'll be able to integrate a better experience for Lightning users.
And there are some workarounds, like I know that Voltage is having a service or something that if you have a Lightning node running there, then you have some incoming liquidity. So they're solving the problem, but that is not possible when you self-host a Lightning node, of course.
I mean, you can always go and buy liquidity independently and just add your node ID and people will open channels with you. So, but it's not really intuitive process for everyday merchants. So
it is.
I promise we will work on improving this very soon.
Are you guys also working on upcoming advancements in the Lightning Network protocol, such as Taproot or RGB or any other layer 2 solutions?
Not as far as I'm aware. But our wizards always have some things on their mind. So I won't say a definite no, but I'm not aware of such progress.
A Lightning developer, John Law, published a proposal about hierarchical channels. And these hierarchical channels allow users to flexibly and off-chain adjust the capacity of Lightning channels. The introduction does not require any further changes to the underlying Bitcoin protocol. What's your take on this? And do you believe these updates to the spec are necessary for making Lightning more appealing for casual users or beginners?
I mean, like any software, it needs to be improved and it needs to be nurtured in order to work. So software is not a constant. I recently tweeted out that angrily because people keep saying never change Bitcoin, never do anything. But you need to maintain it needs and just things evolve. So software also needs to evolve and become more and more flexible and usable. So I'm not aware on that particular proposal that you said, but it sounds very interesting. I got something similar from Burak in Italy. He started also talking around something from what I remember. It was very similar, but it was very beyond my technical knowledge to understand it fully.
I asked on Twitter for the proposal because it was indeed very interesting what he tweeted out. And I thought, well, what is it? But I think Lightning Network, perhaps you have the same feeling, is the part of the usability and flexibility that Bitcoin doesn't have. And so it seems like the total opposite because it just is only busy with enhancements and more possibilities. So it's moving a lot.
I mean, it's the best what we have currently. So we just have to invest all the efforts in order to make it usable for everyday folks as well.
Yeah. That's correct. I want to talk about the Stratum also a bit. You're also working to bring more adoption to the next generation mining protocol Stratum version 2. This version was designed to address the shortcomings of the original Stratum protocol, such as bandwidth inefficiencies and centralization issues. What are the main advantages of this newer version?
So Stratum V2... I'll try to be concise. It's a topic that really excites me. But Stratum V2, as you said, tries to resolve some of the inefficiencies of the current protocol, which all the miners use. Stratum V1. Some of them include security. For example, all of the miners on the network communicate through plain text, so it's not encrypted. Communication between them is not encrypted. As you said, there are some also optimization in terms of performance with the Stratum V2, but what everybody are excited about is the advancements with regards to decentralization, because in the Stratum V1, it's the mining pools that currently do transaction selection on behalf of the miners in a way, so they are a single point of failure. And potential point that can be censored, wherein in Stratum V2, it's up to individual miners to run their own nodes and basically select transactions and propose them then to the pool.
Yeah. And what exactly do you do to bring more adoption to this version of Stratum? Because I've read that your main focus is bringing more adoption on this second generation Stratum protocol. What is it? What you do for that?
Yeah, so like in any project, I just try to be useful and see which areas I can be and my skills can be helpful. In particular, with Stratum V2 community, or our implementation is actually called Stratum Reference Implementation, or SRI. So it's an open source implementation of the Stratum V2 protocol, basically. So there I'm also in a way doing some project management work, helping people organize release cycles, but also communicate a lot with end users, miners, mining pools to see what are their needs and how to get this implemented. Also helping write some of the documentation, appearing in public, also talking about it, educating people about this new protocol, and basically just janitorial work that I enjoy. You don't want me to code, but I can do everything else, I guess.
And Stratum V2 will also be an open source implementation for miners and mining pool operators, allowing them to benefit from improved efficiency, security, and decentralization features. But how important is it that all the limitation of version 1 will be addressed? In other words, does the success of Bitcoin depends on fixing this most widely adopted protocol for mining Bitcoin?
I would say that straight to V2 currently is the best shot to get more decentralization in Bitcoin. There are certainly other maybe projects or approaches that can help with this, but it's currently the best we have. And I think the adoption of it is critical to Bitcoin's censorship resistance.
Perfect.
And
Well,
are there any other protocols besides Stratum that are used?
Not that I am aware that are used. There are some proposals on decentralized pools and things like that, but nothing in use.
Yeah.
well, there's the gong.
There's the gong. Yeah, indeed. Oh, man. Yeah.
Conecta el mundo.
Well,
We had a lot of more questions, but for such a busy man, of course, we because you're also active for Bitcoin Design, Bitcoin Smiles, we talked about it, Spiral, and BTCpay server. I think you're doing a great job. It was nice to talk to you, and I hope that you will have some extra features that you want to talk about the next time you're with us.
Thanks for having me. It was very interesting discussion.
sure. We have one question left for you.
Yeah.
Actually. It's a surprise, Pav. But we pre-recorded 3 questions. You may only choose one. That's unfortunate, but you may only choose one. You can now choose between Oscar from Fountain, that app, Ton Koenen from Lightning Checkout, or Zephyrin Bueller from LNRouter, that app. So yeah, tell us which one you want to be asked.
Oh, that's a hard one. I mean, I know Severin from LNRouter, so I'll go with that one.
Perfect.
All right.
Hi guys, my name is Severin. My question for you is, how do we scale the Lightning Network when we reach the point where all blocks are full with transactions and it's very expensive to open a channel and close a channel?
What are your thoughts?
That's a very hard one. I knew that the hard questions will come from
They
Severin.
were all technical, so sorry.
Yeah, I can only envision that people, the way things stand currently, I can only envision that people will be onboarded through Lightning itself. So maybe abstracting layer 1 entirely. I'm not sure if that's a proper way to solve this, but that's how things stand currently. So we'll see if that's. I'm certain that things will change. This technology keeps evolving, so I'm positive that we will have a different solutions for this as well.
Perfect. And well, maybe you're one of the ones that are going to come up with this solution, right? I mean,
I doubt. I honestly doubt I will be the one, but I will gladly help people who come up with these proposals
and clean their mess, because that's also very
as
good
a
for,
janitor.
Right? Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Thanks, man.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Conectează lumea.
Well, where can people find you, Pav? You can maybe share your Twitter or whatever you want.
I mean, you can usually read my rants complaining on Twitter at Pavlenex. I'm also on GitHub. If you need anything, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. Probably the best way to reach me. DM's open, so feel free to join me complaining how we need to improve Bitcoin.
Perfect.
Absolutely. So thanks again, everyone, also for listening. And thanks to all members participating in Satoshi Radio Rings of Fire. And of course, thanks to everyone helping to connect the world with us. If you like our content, then please support us in our mission. Visit our website, connecttheworld.live, where you can also donate and subscribe, like, and share our content on your favorite platform. We need you to complete our mission, connect the world. So keep those nodes running, sats flowing, and rings burning. And see you all next week on the same Lightning channel. Alveda, Pavlenex.
Dobar dan.
Dobar dan.